Hey guys, this is just a quick product review going over the fortune wheel for UEFN. So if you've purchased the fortune wheel, you'll be given a small zip file. You want to open that zip file, and then once you've opened it, you can drag and select the folder and the files and drop them into your content browser. So if you need to find your content browser, come to your UEFN project, right click on the root folder here, go show in Explorer, and then it will bring you to your content folder, and then click and drag out into your content folder. Be sure to do it like this. Do not go extract all, because then it will create a new folder that'll be named incorrectly, and then it won't find the references. So you need to click and drag out of here into your content folder. So once you've installed that, you'll have a level here called VVToot04 product. If we open up that level, it'll bring us into a simple little blank template here. We can go inside the level and we can interact with the button, and you see it will play the spinning wheel animation. So it has 8 different slots that we can choose from, and you'll see when it prints, at the end it prints with the result and the slot. So I'll go over next how we can access that result in verse, and just a quick rundown of the verse that comes with the file. So without going into too much detail, all we need to know here when we're using the fortune wheel, if we want to access the result, we have the result index here. So once the wheel stops spinning, we can access the result, which is a public variable here with the result index, and we can return whatever we want throughout the rest of our code. Also, when the wheel stops spinning, it will also fire this finished event that we can listen for in other verse classes and throughout our game. So it will go through, it will spin, and then we can also use the result case to get out a string or an int or whatever case we want in the case of our result. So next, coming into our materials, if we want to edit our materials, we have 2 materials here, well 3. There's the main fortune wheel, m_fortune wheel, and then the mi fortune wheel main. So we want to open the mi fortune wheel main, which is the one that we're actually using inside a verse, and we have a few main controls. So we can set the wheel texture. We have a wheel with 8 sections, 6 sections, or 4 sections. I might add more before I upload the product. So how we can set it here is, let's change it to say a 6 section wheel from an 8 section wheel. We come in, we change the texture. We have the master controls. We want to change the amount of sections from 8 to 6. We can change the arrow color if we like. We can also change things like the rim color from silver to maybe gold if we want, or the background color of the wheel as well to purple, whatever color we might choose. And then we have the flicker, so when we actually choose a result, how fast is it flickering to highlight the result, and the wheel rotation is going to get set inside a verse. Then we can come through and we can set each icon individually. So if we don't want an icon slot, what we can do is, seeing as we're only using 6 icons here, we can remove icons 7 and 8 by overriding, and then we put in our blank texture. So now you see we only have 6 icons on the wheel, and then we have to go through and set the rotation. So it takes a tiny bit of math, but what we can do is we can go 1 divided by 6, and then go divide that by 2, and now you see we want to go in the negative as well, sorry. So it would be, let me start again, it would be negative 1 divided by 6 divided by 2, and now we have this icon 0 or this icon 1 in the first slot, and then we can copy this value 0.083 and we paste it into this value here, and we go times 3 for the second slot, and then again this value here, we go paste it in and go times 5 for the third slot. This value here, the offset rotation, times 7 for the next slot. And remember, we're timesing it by an extra 2 every time, so value here times 9, and then in the last slot we go times 11. So obviously you can cycle them through as you want and place them how you want, but just with a little bit of math you can get them in exactly in the middle as you want them. So the other things we can do is we can rotate the icon itself if we want to, and we can also set the scale of the icon if we have, say, if we want them bigger or smaller. But once we change the scale, we'll also have to change the offset, so we can move them with an offset. So I'll just undo that. So I've added some additional icons with the package, but obviously if you want to add more icons, you can make them yourself and you can import them. Remember, they just need an alpha layer and whatever icon that you want, and you should be able to just plug them in to our material and override the texture in that icon slot. So the last thing I'll go over is some of the controls and the different types of results we can get. So here, because we've changed in our material from 8 slots to 6, on the device itself we need to change to 6 slots. So we have here the button that activates it, which is referenced to the button in the level. Then we also have spin duration, so how long is the wheel going to spin for, and then spin time to stop, how long does it take for this spinning to stop. So it'll spin for 5 seconds and then it'll take 1.5 seconds to slow down to stop. And then we have spin speed, so how fast is it spinning when it spins, and we'll just keep that at 0.33. And then we also have this array here called the main weighted array. So what is that? The main weighted array is used for more random kind of results. So, or if you want different kind of weighted results, or a weighted random. So for example, if we only have, let's delete some of these entries for now. If we only have, say, 3 entries, these values are supposed to add up to 1, so we can say 0.1, 0.8, and then 0.1. So, or let's do it the other way, 0.1 and then 0.8. So these values add up to 1, and this denotes the rarity that it's going to land on that index. So let's say, for example, our wheel only has 3 sections, section 0, section 1, and section 2. There's a 10% chance it's going to land on the first slot, a 10% chance it'll land on the second slot, and an 80% chance it'll land on the last slot. So let's use that in the example for what we have at the moment. So if we come in and we set the values here, let's say 1.2, 1.8, 1.5, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.25. So we're saying index 0, or the slot 0 on our wheel, has a 12% chance, the next slot has an 18% chance, the next slot has a 15% chance, a 10% chance, a 20% chance, and a 25% chance. So this is how we can make a wheel where some slots are more rare than others. So one slot you might only want a 1% chance that it can land on that wheel or on that slot, and that's how we can make it. The other type of random is we'll have to change it in code, but if we come back into code, we have 3 different functions that we can use. We have spin the wheel with a truly random result. So spin with a random result function here. If we activate that and comment out this, it's going to spin and return a completely random result. We can spin with a determined result here. So if you want the result to be determined before the wheel even spins, we can use the determined result here. So if you want it always to land 2, always to land 3, we can rig it and we can spin with a determined result. Or here, spin with a random weighted result is what it will be set to by default, which is using these weights in our device. Lastly, as well, we have the wheel position and the wheel size on screen. So we have the position here. Where is it on the screen? Like moved away from the center point. So it's minus 720, minus 200, so it's up and to the left on our screen. And how big is the wheel, as well as how big is the glow that goes around the wheel. Also, if you want to edit the glow or the glow color, the function, the material is here, the wheel glowing, and you can just grab the color here and edit the color. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions about how to use this, or if you're stuck with anything, please join the Discord below or send me an email. I'm more than happy to help if you guys get stuck. Thank you so much for purchasing this, and thank you so much for supporting VFX Vault, and I will see you guys in the next one.